Okay, Onni and Sonni is rolling into production. Here we have the latest pre-production versions, and this time you get more than we promised. Let's go through all that. So the biggest change what we did was the Enduro version. We went even lower in travel than initially was announced. So the reason for that was that we didn't think that that's significant enough. So if we make something like 170, 180 or something like that to the 190 what we already have. So we went for 170 in the front and 160 in the rear. So what does it mean is that now the BB drops roughly 18 millimeters with the 29 option. But what it means that in sag position, if you're running 30% sag and the Enduro version 28, for example, you're pretty much in the same BB height. So the dynamic situation is what counts. What we solved was the leverage ratio thing. So this one is going from 3.3 to 2.3, pretty linear. So we cut from top and bottom of that, so the average leverage ratio stays the same. So it's pretty awesome, like really responsive, more ground feedback. We still get the same riding characteristics as this one, which has proven to be very good in geometry overall. So what is the riding difference then? Well, there's more plush, like there's more damping to have. For example, when you hit something, you drop something or whatever. So that is the major change. It looks almost exactly the same. We will sell the shock and the top yoke, which is needed to make the bike in that way.
So are you saying customers still have many models with the one frame?
Oh yeah, so basically you can buy this frame and you have a 160, 170 option, which people have actually like wished, asked, requested. A lot of people said, yeah, I like 160, 170. I ride still the 200 roughly. But yeah, people have different terrains. They don't have so technical, they don't ride so hard or whatever. So now we have two bikes. So you can build a downhill version and an enduro version from the same frame, just change the shock and the fork. And if you have RockShox fork, for example, you just change the rod, so you don't need to even get two forks. And one thing as well to mention, 650B and 29 works perfectly without any change. You can run the 29 with this 200mm travel or 650B. I tested this in Madeira. I changed the wheels occasionally every now and again. Only thing I changed after the wheel swap was to put 5mm more under the stem when I was running 29. So when you go 650B, I went 5mm lower. That's the only change I made. And I preferred the 29 a little bit over the 650B at Madeira because you need more grip and you're more high speed, so 29 goes over stuff easier. The only thing I realized that with 29 I was more keen to open the leg in some situations when you have a rut and you turn and there's this little balance situation. I was more keen to unclip my inner foot, but with the 650B I was more railing from the pegs.
Hey, what's that on the top tube there? Is that water bottle? I thought you weren't going to make a water bottle.
What water bottle? Okay, so we got a lot of questions about the water bottles. And initially, when I had the first prototype at Sea Otter, I had placements here, here, and here. My thoughts were definitely the bottle should be here, but then I was running that double crown and that doesn't turn all the way around. So putting a water bottle here would be quite nasty when you can crash, so that the handlebar would wipe it off. So I had to rethink myself and my designs. I was thinking not to put the bottle cage mounts, but so many people asked for it, so I returned to this idea again. So this works, but if you're very, very short-legged that might not be the position where you put your water bottle, but that we will have mounts here on Sonni and Onni. But on Onni, people were saying at least put them here. So that's not a problem to us. We'll put for Onni, we put them here. But for Sonni, unfortunately Bosch won't let us to use this battery cover for mounting a bottle. So on Sonni, unfortunately, there's no place for a bottle here. It's gonna be only here. So if you are short-legged, you need to use a backpack. But we have Voima where you can place the bottle if that's the deal breaker.
So I see you don't have a regular metal cage. You're using the fiddle.
One more reason, if somebody insists using a metal cage, I don't want it to be here as a ball catcher. You know what I mean by that. So, but I totally wish that nobody uses the normal metal one here either. It will look horrendous, but your customer, you decide. But I'm not gonna give that option here. But that's the water bottle. We really wanted to have it here, but this is optimized. This bike is only optimized for stiffness, like the racing and everything. So that leads to the next topic, which is here. This is really easy to over-engineer. That's what I know now. So it took a while to figure out this simple piece here. It doesn't look much, but the first versions that I made were so heavy. They were sturdy enough, like very, very sturdy, but over-engineered, I would say. So I wanted to go back to the drawing board and try to make as light as possible, but still machinable from one unit. So this is something that might sound really easy and easygoing, but when you're trying to make this one piece which goes all the way around here to here and take into account all the limitations that our equipment has, it needs quite a lot of negotiations with yourself and 3D models and all that. But eventually we found a way how to make a stiff but light version of this. So here we don't have it here, but you will have a slider as well. So the same EP slider that's on Voima will be attached here with 4 bolts. This one is attached with 3 bolts. Now we have 4, but we are getting rid of one of those to the production. Maybe even this one is also with 3 bolts. These are the screws that you can use on your brake disc mounts. All of these are those. So that is handy. And yeah, so at the same go, we decided to have another option. This is the MRP bash guard, kind of lower guide, top guide. So as this is a 200mm travel bike, we wanted to make a really stiff guide for the chain. So the reason why I wanted to have this option is that this chain is not cheap. You don't want a lot of rocks or whatever hitting that. It's not only the chain ring that is getting damaged, but the chain, you only need one good rock to break this chain. Like you get a bend there, then you start riding, and then it snaps. Chains used to cost, I don't know, $50. Now they cost more than $100. So I would rather protect the chain a little bit better. And also we have the absolute black version, which is similar, but doesn't have this lower guide, if somebody prefers that. This is heavier, that's lighter. It's up to you what you want. We have both covered. This time we attached the motor with this 2 connector plates under these black plastics. So this side we use the standard Bosch plastic, and this side the standard Bosch plastic. It's really easy to get to the connections here. You just take these 2 bolts, screws off from this side, and you pull that plastic out, and that's it. It's really accessible, easy to go, like really fast get into there if you need to work something over there. While we're here, I'll explain that change. So that was a hard time to get the cable routing. It's always one of the hardest part to figure out. So this hole here, now it's in a place where there's no movement hardly at all in and out. So the cables stay in place nicely. They work with the swingarm. So overall cable routing is what we're gonna talk about next. Then we have two things over this side. The other one you don't see. The other one is here. This is the key lock. So we made that hole really tiny. So that's only 4mm Allen key to open that, and you get your battery out really quickly. And here we're working on channels for cable routing. So the whole idea is to have like a channel here. It's not a channel where you can just push in and it comes from the other side. You still need to use the tape, but the tape goes flush with the inside of the frame. So it also at the same time puts the battery really snug inside. The cable routing is one of the toughest things to figure out, at least on the level I usually want to get them right. One thing is that, for example, we use here where you go inside the frame, we try to push these holes as high as possible. So when you spin your fork, the cable goes here and doesn't stick here. So you can use shorter cables, for example, so it looks cleaner. But inside, we try to always have the maximum install-friendly design. So the tape is pretty good because you can kind of put the cable where you want. But with the battery, you always you don't have a lot of space. For example, as you have with the Onni, because you need to charge your battery directly with the battery. We didn't put the battery inlet anywhere to save space and also make it less complex. So opening this is easy. You just get it out like that, put it in it. That's it. So that's made easy for you guys. This year was our debut in World Cup downhill, and with Onni Rainio and Phil Seaton as a team manager, these guys did an awesome job. The first goal was to qualify to the semis, and then we were gradually going higher and higher positions towards the finals. We didn't make it there yet, but we learned tons in the process. So one thing that we changed just because we raced DH was top mount of the shock. This is something that is like a not proven fact, but what I felt, some feedback what I got was due to some vibrations in the frame that caused something in the suspension to be certain way. Can't really explain what it was, but my insight was that this top mount should be stiffer. So because when we have this shock sideways, a little bit off center, this bike is very symmetrical. Like everything is symmetrical except this shock mount. So when the shock bottoms out, it gets a lot of harsh impacts. I felt that this part is kind of twisting, just like the displacement is not significant, but at least maybe some vibrations were going through that. So, well, I decided to put a suspenders and a belt here. So we have double bearings here, and it's a widest position as possible, same as on Onni and Sonni. And we made this very, very sensitive as well. So here's double bearings, here are double bearings. So this shock mount, whenever it rotates, when it moves, it's so sensitive, and combined with this 90-degree angle, which simulates the spherical bearings, we have probably the smoothest working shock in the industry. When we combine all our accuracy with one hold bearing seats and everything, so that is something that is, I would say, even over engineering to certain applications, but it's still cool. It's the same weight, we didn't even add weight, and I think it's a really cool feature. We also improved the clearance for feet here, and that's that is something that is always good. So very minimal changes to design. For example, what didn't change was all the like axles and these washers and everything, that kind of this extractors and all those we nailed it at one go. This part has a little iterations just for making clearance more for the T-type and with the big 52 chainring. So the lower link is a little bit gone a little bit shape design. So we have clearance here. And the cool part is that we managed to make it so it's the same part on left and right hand side. So this piece is the same. Say it goes to the top link. This part is the same exact part as on the other side. So the same part goes on both sides. And it looks really snug here. Like there's not a lot of room for the shocks, but as we do it on CNC machining, we can do that kind of stuff. We can leave only 1 millimeter of space just here and there. So that is not possible if you're welding or doing carbon fiber. You couldn't manage that kind of tolerance. So this is maybe a hubris thing to do it. Yes. I mentioned that it's difficult to design the cable routings, and everybody knows that many bikes have difficulties to route the cables. One thing that is difficult here is that because we are using so big axle here, and the down tube is quite high, so when you have a seat post that has a cable, this angle is quite narrow. You need to make try to make a good loop. So when you're going as low as possible on the seat post, you might have some issues to route the cable. So that's why we put a lot of effort to figure out how to make the channel here, so there's at least some kind of a way to put it. You can route it from the top, because this is also something that is hard, because all the seat posts have the lever on different place. So it's not just one design that we need to cover. For example, on crank for the seat post, it goes behind, so we can route it behind this axle, and for SDG you need to go in front. So it's not so simple always. So I mean, with a wireless seat post, it's so much easier, but we put a lot of effort to cover that as well. I hope you like it, or I manage to work with it, but should be as good as possible. So now Bullet Bicycles is 10 years old, and this is our best bike so far. Well, probably I say this with every bike we design. For this one, I'm really happy, because we have reached some of the goals I've had for years with this new technology. Now we are very, very good at what we do, and even some companies have tried to do the same that we do, and they're not quite there yet. We do really good at races. Personally, my racing results have gone higher over the years. I'm not getting younger. I'm 43 years old, and my racing results get better. So this is unusual, but also I can promise that our quality and our technology will keep evolving as well. And I think it helps so much when I race myself, I ride myself, and I can learn from the people who I'm racing with. And yeah, that's the reason why we race. Not all our customers are racers. I would say 99% of our customers are just average weekend warriors who want great tech. They want good product. They want product that is exceptional and it works, and they know that there's people behind that put a lot of effort into it. When you're running a business, sometimes you say that, well, it's good enough. Well, for us, the level of it's good enough, it's not enough. We always go higher because if we know it could be better, we just want to do it. Of course, you could go forever and ever with iterations, but still, there's still that last mile that we want to always do, and we've done it here. So I'm getting excited to ship these bikes. I want to see what you guys think.